been 5 months since Ariana has launched her Amazon product, and there's been some big successes and some big failures. We're in the middle of one of the successes right now, and we'll talk about that later. But first, I want to catch you up to speed. So the first month of launching her product, she did 150 sales on Amazon, about $3,000 in revenue, $1,000 in profit. But every month since then has only been, I think, $1,500 in sales, about 60 units or so, and only $500 profit. So we're gonna talk about how she started the company, how come the sales have plateaued, and what we're gonna be doing to fix it. So first off, let's talk about how you started the company and catch everybody up to speed. So step by step, how'd you do it?
Yeah. So I created the product last year. The idea came about and we tossed around ideas for wine flashcards, which we thought would be super useful for us to use and for everyone else to use.
Which, as a side note, that's one of the keys of the way that I teach is create a product that you want to exist. Create something unique. Do not just slap a label on some private label product and sell it. It's so much harder to do that. You're not adding a lot of value. I'll talk about that, and I'll put another video together where I talk about that. Yeah. But anyways, back to the story.
It's pretty easy to create your own new product, and it's something fun too.
Same amount of work, but you have a lot more value. It's a lot easier to raise money with a Kickstarter, Amazon.
Personal.
Okay, so let's go back to it. I'm jumping around a little bit, still a little bit buzzed from the coffee from earlier.
Yes.
So you had this idea, and then I guess the next step was making a prototype.
Making a prototype, kind of coming up with a vision of what we wanted the product to look like.
Yeah.
And then we shared with a launch group on Facebook that I created, and so people shared their ideas.
And to get people in the launch group, she used Instagram, which was a core part of it. You go from Instagram, you get people into the launch group, and then what was the benefit
by getting their email.
By getting their emails.
So,
what's the benefit of the launch group?
So in the launch group there, I post different iterations of what it's looking like, any updates that people want to make.
Even the logos, every single part of it is basically crowdsourced.
Yes.
By the way, before we go any further, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Travis. She's my girlfriend, and she came to me asking me how to make passive income. And I have a product on Amazon that does about $40,000, $50,000 revenue. I make a full-time income. Most of my money comes from this one single product. So when she said she wanted to make passive income, I kind of used her as my guinea pig for what I call the passion product formula, which is a way to create a product that you're passionate about. The most beautiful guinea pig out there. So anyway, so we have this product launch group, which big part of the benefit is it's going to help you create the product. Because you ask about the logos, which you did a really good job of.
Yeah, and it's really creating a product that people actually want to use because it's information that they want.
Another key part of it. I think a lot of people, when I tell them create something that you believe in, that you're passionate about, they think, well, other people might not want to buy it. That's a huge part of the launch group, is getting people in there and asking them, is this something you would buy? And if not, how do I make this product better?
Yeah, and so that was a good way to kind of
validate the product,
product, push it forward, and it really encouraged me to make a Kickstarter for it. And so at that point, everyone got excited about it. I'm actually going to create the product. And so Kickstarter was a good way to raise money, also making sure that there's interest in it.
It's one thing for people to tell you, hey, that's a really cool idea. The Kickstarter is a way for you to second validate it. So the first validation is, do people give you their email? The next validation is, do people join the launch group? The next one is, are they interacting with you? And then the really big one is, you say, hey, I'm launching a Kickstarter. It's $20 to pre-buy this product. Do they give you the money? So Ariana's goal was $5,000, and she raised a little...
We surpassed that.
Yeah, a little over $5,000.
Yeah, and so that was, of course, the extra validation that was like, okay, let's move forward. So then at this point, it's a little more of the harder work, doing research, creating it, working with my designer and with my manufacturer, getting the product ready. Took a few months. And basically we had it shipped over, and then I put it on Amazon.
And we made a big mistake. When we had it shipped over from China, we did air shipping at first, which I don't think is a problem necessarily. It's a lot more expensive, and we were in a bit of a rush. But what we didn't do is the boxes that they shipped it in were really thin, and about 1 in 5 of the Vino cards our product, 1 in 5 of our product.
They were dented.
They were damaged.
Unusable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, those are little things that you have to keep in mind, but we fixed the problem with the air-shipped ones, and then we made sure that when we actually had it sent over by sea, it was totally fine. So.
Which brings me to one more mistake. And we're going to get into the updates. The last mistake I want to share with you is we ordered way too much. We ordered about 2,000. So Ariana raised $5,000 in the Kickstarter, and me being me, and she pretty much spent almost nothing to fund, like to get the Kickstarter, to get it ready. So this method is a good way. If you don't have a lot of cash, I always get people asking me like, well, I don't have a lot of cash. I can't create my own product. I say, fine, do a Kickstarter. Raise the money early on. So she raised the $5,000, and then me being me said, hey, I'm gonna loan the company some money. It's our company. I'm gonna loan the company some money so we can buy 2,000 units. Let's blow this up from the beginning. Which probably, in hindsight, I'm happy I did it, but it was also a mistake. We probably should have just taken that $5,000 and done a smaller production run, maybe do 500 units, and then fund the product from there.
It's true. But at this point, so we have 2,000 units. And then since then, for the last 5 months, we've been trying to sell them at a steady pace so far. And so we can get into that.
Yeah, and so I think a big thing is when we launched, I thought we'd sell probably 500 units in the first month. We only sold 150, which is still amazing. I mean, Ariana, her first month on Amazon, technically made $1,000. It's the numbers are kind of complicated because
Amazon takes a fee.
Yeah, Amazon takes a fee, all that kind of stuff. But then since then, it's been the 60 units or so a month. And how has that felt? Because it's for the last 4 months, it's been about 60 units. How does that feel?
Pretty much what I'd expect, considering that I haven't put that much time and effort into it lately, and that's due to just honestly being busy with my actual full-time job during the day. Honestly, just distracted. There's just so much going on, and that I'm not really prioritizing well.
So we did a 1 month update video, and we've done a 3 month update video. I was a little late launching those last two. So this video is going to bring us up to speed now. But as a quick side note, between the 3 month update video and this update video right now, I spent a month in the Philippines. So Ariana was completely on her own, and I think.
And 2 weeks of those I went and traveled too.
Oh yeah, and 2 weeks of those. Yeah. Okay, so 2 of those weeks she traveled, and then on top of that, once we got back from the Philippines, she was working 6 days a week plus overtime at her job, which, which is crazy. And at the same time, I've talked about this before. She's also taking care of me. She cooks dinner at the house. She does a lot of that and cleans up after me. I don't like to admit it, but I'm relatively messy, and I find that I'll go away for the night and I'll come back and the whole place will be clean. So I want to give her a lot of props, because even though she hasn't worked on Vino cards as much as I think it would be amazing, she's been really busy, and she's constantly doing really cool things.
I think that's just common, right? You're trying to balance your day-to-day. If you still have an actual job and you have something on the side that you're trying to grow and hopefully become full-time with, and it's a transition period, to be honest. It's really tough to balance. But now, looking back and doing the updates, what can we fix? What can we, improve and help push the product further and sell more units?
So I think that brings us into our next thing. So one thing we did before that I think for anybody that's working as partners out there, which we've obviously been doing, that we were doing for a while that I thought was really good, we need to start up again, we haven't done it in a few months, is weekly meetings. So once a week, we're gonna meet, and basically I'm gonna ask her at least 1 or 2 questions. So the one question I was asking her before was, how many more reviews did we get this week? And so when we first launched, we had about 8 reviews. And then it was 8 reviews for the next month or 2. And then I started doing this weekly meeting, more or less. More
or less.
Okay.
It wasn't 2 months, but
a month
felt like in a month.
Okay,
maybe.
Something like that. But as soon as we started doing the weekly meeting, it went from the 8 reviews to the next week it was 13 reviews.
So the reason for that is we're noting exactly what we want to do for the next week. What can we improve from the week before? And so actually keeping track of it that way, it's okay, these are the tasks that I should focus on just this week. Yeah. So that helps,
And just to make this clear, these are Amazon reviews, and that's one of the most important things when you launch an Amazon product is how many 5-star or really good reviews can you get. And the way she did this again was the product launch group. She contacted people from the product launch group and said, hey, I saw that you bought it on Amazon. It really helps out if you leave a review. Obviously you can't incentivize reviews, you can't do anything like that. You can't have friends and family leave reviews, but people that were in the product launch group are just random customers. They're just people that found the product on Instagram.
And I mean, it's more of like an approach of what's your feedback on it? Because honestly, you sell the product and you don't really hear like what's good about it, what's bad about it. And it's something that I want and is beneficial for me, because once I create a new production run, I want to know what I can improve on. So yes.
I also want to note that the people on the launch group are way more likely to leave reviews, especially 5-star reviews, because they were there from the beginning. They saw the struggle. They helped create the product. And by helping to create the product, they feel like they made it. Of course they're gonna leave a review, and they've gotten to know you as the creator. So let's talk moving forward. Obviously, one of the things we're gonna do is a weekly meeting. Well, I'll ask you a few, it's called KPIs, key performance indicators. So number of reviews. The other question I would ask her is, how many messages did you send out? How many Facebook messages, how many emails, how many text messages, or asking people in person, did you try to get, like how many times did you solicit, I shouldn't say solicit, how many times did you get someone to try to leave a review on the product? Because there's what's called a lead measurement and a lag measurement. So a lot of times people say, I wanna get 5 reviews this week. Well, that's something you can't fully control. But what you can control is how many messages do you send to get reviews. So I didn't really care how many reviews she got from week to week. What I cared is how much effort did you put in. So if she told me, hey, I didn't get any reviews this week, but I sent out 30 messages to people, that's more important to me than if she says, I got 5 reviews and I didn't ask anyone, it just happened randomly. So it's important with yourself. This is something I'm working on with myself, is don't only care about the outcome, care about the amount of effort you put into it. So figure out what are your lead metrics and your lag metrics. So that's one thing, our weekly meeting. And I'd also ask her random other questions like, hey, how many influencers have you reached out to do collaborations? What's new? We'd share ideas that we had for the company on how to further the market the company, which we keep almost talking about, but we don't. So what's next? Like what are the next steps? And we've talked about it obviously, but share with everybody.
Yeah, one I'm really excited about and I think will help tremendously, considering I have a lot juggling throughout the day, is hiring a virtual assistant.
Which I love, and
Yeah, and have a lot of experience with that, but I've seen how beneficial that is just to have someone else to help me with it consistently throughout the week. And to have them reach out and try to do collaborations. I want to work with wine companies and have that collaboration, share photos of their wine with my product. I mean, that's a really great combination. Another way to get the product out there is really expanding on Instagram marketing, and just for my own personal use and just what other businesses do, having a big group of followers through Instagram is massive. You're getting people to spread the word, you're showing them what the product is, and so for them to see that and kind of another way to get excited about it, Instagram marketing is huge. So
I want to point out 2 things actually. One is, with a typical private label product, you can't do that. I know I'm hating on private label products a lot, sorry, but I just think that's one of the magics of like creating your own product, is you can do Instagram marketing, you can do all these different
brand.
Yeah, you can really brand it and people will get excited about it, because you can brand a private label product, but people don't care about it. The second thing that I think is really important is Ariana makes over 20 bucks an hour, right? And most of those tasks are pretty basic. So she could spend 1 hour working her normal job and hire a virtual assistant that will work for 8 hours. So it makes sense for her to work an extra hour at her job and then just pay someone to work 8 hours. Because those things, it's basically very routine, something that someone in the Philippines can do at $2 to $3 an hour. On my end, there is one thing I want to do to help increase sales. So I've been letting Ariana struggle on her own. I've helped her verbally, but I haven't actually, gone on the keyboard and really tried to work on growing this company, because I think it's important, I want her to work on it, all that kind of things. But one of the things I want to do is, in the next week, I'm going to actually spend a few days at least and working on Vino cards. And what I'm going to be doing, probably helping her train a virtual assistant, that's one thing. But the other thing is Amazon PPC. We've done a little bit of this, I've helped her do a little bit of this, but it's such a big opportunity. We've done maybe 3% of what we can with Amazon PPC. The last thing I want to get into is the successes and the failures. Like, obviously we've talked about a lot of the things that worked, some of the failures, but before we get into that, I think one of the really big successes is here. If you've noticed, this is a different background than normal.
We're at an Airbnb in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Spending a few days in New Orleans, and basically, Vino Cards paid for this trip. The flights were paid for because of a credit card. So we got a credit card, and there's so many good credit card opportunities out there. If you know how to use credit cards, you can make a ton of money off credit cards. You can pay for, I haven't paid for a flight in so long. We got a credit card, spent about $3,000. I'll link what credit card we use for our business. If you spend $3,000 within the first 3 months, then you get basically 2 round-trip flights anywhere in the US. Great deal. Like, there's so many different options. You don't have to use the one that we used. You can use any different one. Yeah. But since we've been here, we've been doing a lot of eating. We went to a lot of different...
As one does here.
Yes, a lot of delicious restaurants. Went to a cooking class earlier today. Anyway, so that's been one of the big successes, is it's paid for this. And while we're traveling here, obviously we're doing business meetings. We're having some wine with our dinners. So these are, business expenses, right? So that was one of the big successes. We're going to France in a few months as well, which is obviously for the wine tasting.
Yeah,
that'll be a huge business expense. If you do want to create a passion product of your own, I do have a YouTube video that goes step by step on how you can do that. So you can click this video right here and watch that for free. Thanks for watching, and remember to enjoy the journey.